Well, hey everyone. Thanks for joining me for another episode. I'm Pam Durkin. I'm the closing coach for interior designers, and I help designers just like you find and close those luxury clients in your area. So, I want to remind you about my Luxury Client Academy, the 9-month coaching experience that I currently have open where I help you triple your profits. And if you have any questions about the Luxury Client Academy, be sure to reach out to me. All the information's in the show notes. So, why am I called the closing coach? Well, it's so easy to be a coach to someone when things are going good, when everything's rolling, when it's super easy to get clients. But who's going to be in your corner when the things go to shit? And that is me. I'm going to be the coach that's going to be helping you when things are not looking so rosy. And honestly, that's when you need a coach the most, when it's really not going well. And I want to tell you about a story about something that happened recently. I had gotten a call from one of my coaching clients, and she was in absolute tears. Within just a few short weeks, she had a large project put on hold. Another project got canceled, and there was no new projects on the horizon. I mean, this is a designer who has an incredible business, is very well qualified, um, has been extremely successful. And she called me and said, I need to cut everything out like now, right now, this moment. I have to stop working with you. I have to cut costs. I need to figure out how to save my business. And she was absolutely panicked. So, one of the first things I did with her is, first of all, I just let her get all her frustrations out. Just having someone to talk to that she could literally just sort of break the seal of stress, right? I don't know if you feel better when you can talk to someone about what's going on. I mean, we all come home and kind of complain about what happened to our in our day to our spouses and our families, and for some reason it seems to make us feel better. So the first thing I let her do is literally get all her frustrations out. Just tell me all the things that were going on. I didn't even have to say anything. She was just, kind of going on and on and on and just going over all the things that had happened in a very short period of time and what she was feeling and what she was going through. And after she got that initial, information out so that she could breathe and not be hyperventilating, I got to talk to her, and when she was not in such a frantic, panicked state, which is what happens, we just get kind of, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that this isn't what happens, but this is just the natural order of things, is that something happens unexpected. It kind of throws us into a tailspin. We get completely frothed up, and it's like there's no talking us down. And she needed to have that energy release to be able to tell somebody what was going on. And then when she stopped and felt like she had said that what she needed to say, I immediately said to her, "Well, there's no way I'm letting you quit the group because you need coaching and a support network more than ever. This is not the time to get rid of all of that, because if now's not the time to have somebody help you and see things clearly because you're in an emotional environment just because of what's happening, this is the time. This is the time where you need coaching. You need a support network. You need a group that you can lean on." And I said, "I am absolutely not abandoning you now when you need me the most." And that's a big difference, when you know that you have somebody that's really in your corner when things are not going well and things are sketchy and difficult and uncomfortable. I'm going to be that coach. I'm going to be the one that's going to help you through those times when you're too embarrassed to talk about what's going on in your business with anyone else, even your spouse or your close friends. Like, you just don't want anyone to know what's happening. That I'm the person, I'm the one you're going to be talking to. And as we went through some things, she was, and rightfully so, she felt she was disappointed in herself. This is a natural thing. Is like, how did this happen? Why is this happening to me? And when she had mentioned what was going on to her spouse, he tried to be supportive, but also had this feeling, or this, he just was like, how did this happen? How could this possibly have happened? And he was also disappointed in her. And those two things, her being disappointed in herself and him being disappointed in her, made it doubly hard to really be able to see through the emotions of what was going on. And, honestly, she felt very ashamed. And she said to me over the phone, and I could tell she was really holding back the tears, where she said, I'm really scared. I'm really scared. I could lose my business. And boy, is that a moment to be on the phone with someone literally in crisis. And I really wanted her to know that she wasn't alone, that I was going to help her with this. And the first thing I said to her was, take a deep breath. I am here with you, and we are going to figure this out. The second thing I said to her was, you're always so confident. You're always so strong. But it's okay to not have it all together. When it's good, it's good. When you own your own business and things are going great, it's awesome. There's so many wonderful advantages to having your own business. You can, you have ways that you can support a lifestyle. You can have a bigger office. You can get more help. You can have a lot of things that you couldn't have before. But when it's bad, oh my gosh, it's soul crushing when it's bad. And I even said this to her. So if you don't like swearing, cover your ears. When you own your own business, it's good. It's good. When it's good, it's great. But when it's bad, your ass is literally hanging over the side of the cliff. And it's scary. And only those who own a business know what that's like. And boy, is that not saying the truth. If you've never owned a business before, you don't know the highs, the wonderful highs, and the lows. And here's the other thing. We all have both of those in our businesses. We have days that we feel like we can do no wrong, and it's amazing and everything's going great. But then there are times too where we're thinking to ourselves, and this could be within the same day. So, I mean, it happens all the time. It could be like, this is great. I'm amazing. All these things are awesome. And then hours later, something happens. You get a call, something goes wrong. And then you're like, why am I doing this? This is crazy. I don't know if I can handle this. It is a business that is not for the faint of heart. And it's so comforting to know that you have somebody you can call who understands what it's like, what you're going through. And after we had this brief conversation that said, listen, it's okay to not have it all together. It's all right. I'm here. I can handle it. We're going to figure it out. She then admitted, I've been putting on a brave face for a while now. Oh, how many of us, and I call this suffering in silence. How many of us suffer in silence when our businesses are not even just, being where we want them to be, but that we're really struggling. It's hard to do the hard work when you're also stressed and upset and feeling disappointed in yourself. It's really hard to do that on your own. And when she said that to me, I've been putting on a brave face for a while now. I just said to her, it's okay. I know what you're going through. And I know that obviously you want to tell your spouse what's going on, of course. I mean, that is something that we do is we, they're a part of this as well. But it's also hard when you can't talk to your spouse who's disappointed in you, and certainly you cannot mention any of this to your employees. So where do you turn to? And I said to her, even though I am emotionally invested in you, which I am, so I'm emotionally invested in all my coaching clients, I'm not as emotionally invested in your situation as you are. And the advantage of that is that I can have a lot more clarity when it's very difficult for you because you're so close to what's happening. And of course, if your business is really struggling and you're feeling like you're months away from closing the doors, how could you not be emotional about that? How could you not feel torn by this and also it be distracting in terms of how you're making decisions and how you're looking at things? So we had this tough conversation on the phone and um, basically talked about and decided that, we were going to figure this out together. And one of the first steps was that she needed to start drumming up some business, and she needed to start drumming up some business fast. Now, there's some good news and bad news to this. The good news is that she found out this information with about 3 months' notice. She knew that she had about 3 months worth of operating expenses left in the business. The bad news is that she needed to drum up business like now. And that's a little more challenging to do. So there's a lesson in the first part of this, which is, and she did know this, which is great. As soon as I asked, I said, how much does it cost you to run your business every month? Boom, she had an answer for me. Here's the lesson number one for you guys listening. You have to know how much it costs you to run your business every month. I know so many of you don't like numbers, don't want to look at the numbers when they're not what you want them to be, but you have got to know where you sit. You have got to know how much it's going to cost you to run your business. So two layers to this. One is, how much does it cost you to run your business when everything's humming along? And then how much do you really need to run your business? So if you had to make some serious cuts, what is the bare bones minimum, the get you by, I can survive number that you would need to continue to keep the doors open and the lights on? These are two things you guys need to know. So she knew those numbers, and we talked about some key items that she could do over the next week or two to start cutting some expenses. And then her and I sat down and we rolled up our sleeves on how she could start to drum up business like now, fast. How could she start bringing some cash into her business? And this is one of the key components of the Luxury Client Academy. I teach you how to identify the sources, the key sources in your business that can have the greatest impact, that can bring you the most qualified leads, that can bring you the highest quantity of leads, that can bring you leads now or fast versus those that are going to take longer because they're a developing relationship, right? So this is what we talk about in the Luxury Client Academy. So as we rolled up our sleeves and got our pens and pencils out, the first thing that we did is we actually talked about any way that she could pull any money forward with her current clients, meaning Are you, kind of lazy with billing? Do you have any installs coming up that you would normally bill, you know, a couple weeks after? Can you start sending the bills a week before? Um, how can we pull some money forward? How can we kind of get access to the cash that we need? So the very first thing we talked about was, who are you working with right now that you could alter the way you're billing them in a way that, of course, feels authentic, but that is not languishing in terms of what you're doing with your billing, because so many of you hate to bill and you kind of let it go. Or if you're behind on your hours, you get to a point where the hours are so much that you now cut them back because you feel bad because the bill is what it is, like that kind of thing. So what can you do in your business to kind of pull forward some of the money that's owed to you? That's already business that's happening. So that was one of the first things. The second thing we did was we talked about, is there any clients that she currently had that she could upsell? Meaning, I'm working with a client and they've mentioned that they want to add this room on, or they want to do 4 more rooms once we finish this, or whatever. And those were the conversations we talked about, that whether or not there were any glimmers of opportunity with the clients that she's working with currently, that then she could then basically say, do you want fries with that? It's an upsell. How can we add these rooms on now, right? So we talked about those things. And once we went through those 2 critical items, we started talking about her referral network. Again, so key in your business. Referrals are how 90% of you are getting 100% of your jobs. So we have to be so thoughtful as to who those people are and how do we keep talking to them, right? So we created a list of every referral source we could think of that she had from any time. Builders, architects, clients, trade partners, realtors. We talked about home watch services. We talked about millwork vendors. We talked about cabinet vendors. And we also even talked about like home organizers, anybody in her world that we could think of. And once we got that list, we then divided them into 3 critical groups. Group 1, which is her first group, right? The one she's going to be contacting first, would be the ones most likely to have multiple projects to refer. So it would be a type of vendor that is also talking to many clients at once, could be sending great business her way, the type of business that she's looking for. So most likely to have multiple projects to refer, ones that are most familiar with her and the quality of her work. So people that she has done business with, people that she's known for 10, 20 years, people she has had a personal connection with. She mentioned some people that, she's known from her kids, when the kids were in sports or other activities. So that kind of thing. So people that she has a personal connection with that know her or the quality of her work. So people also that she has recently worked with on a project. These were the group 1. This is your first group to get with. These are the people she is contacting first over the next few days. Group 2 is people she had worked worked on a project with, but maybe it was a while ago, maybe it was a year or more ago. People that she hasn't really connected with in a while, a little bit. Those people would be on her list over the next 2 weeks. And then the third group was people that she knew a very long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, that she's still familiar with, or she still follows, or she's she knows what's happening with their businesses. She just hasn't done anything with them in a long time. These are people who she enjoyed working with. She thought they were great were doing great work and things like that. People she was looking to reconnect with. And these people she would be contacting in the next month. So she had 3 groups, so she kind of had the plan. Group 1 over the next couple days, group 2 over the next few weeks, group 3 over the next month. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of detail on what she's going to do with group 2 and 3. And then I'm going to circle back and focus on what is happening with group 1, which is the people that we feel could get her business relatively quickly, as quick as possible, right? So group 2, she was going to send out an email um, with a little bit of personalization in there. Okay, so that's always key, is some kind of personalization. So making some kind of connection with them, how they met, the last thing they did together, something that she saw about their business that she was impressed with, whatever, some kind of personal connection. And then um, basically proposing a date to get together and to meet. And instead of putting in the email, late, we should get together soon, or we should get together next week, or we should get together in the next 2 weeks. The key to this one was, how's next Thursday at 10 a.m.? Because there's a few reasons for that. And it makes people see a date and a time, and it makes them respond. So it's not as easy to ignore. And then group 3, it was just an email to reconnect and catch up. Again, personal connection, and also just starting to warm that relationship up again. So let's go back to group 1, which is the group that's most likely to have multiple project opportunities for her in the quickest amount of time, which is what we need to do. Is we need to start drumming up some business so that she can get the money flowing again. Because when a few projects that dried up on her for various reasons that were really honestly out of her control, she was at a loss for cash flow. And it happened very, very quick. So we wanted her to be focusing on and give her a plan to figure out who are those people that are most likely to have multiple project opportunities in the quickest amount of time. So here's what we came up with. There's a builder she's been working with, and she wanted to reach out to them. They were on the project that's currently been put on hold, and she was going to reach out to them to talk about opportunities with other clients that they may be working with, because of course they're in the same boat now because they both have a project that's been put on hold. And sure as anything, they were probably counting on that monthly income as well from fees and things like that. So she was going to be talking to that builder. We discovered in our discussions, and some of this too, you guys, she would say things and then she would just be like gloss over them. And I would make her stop and say, well, tell me more about this realtor. And this is the one we're going to talk about next. The realtor which had multiple properties coming online. And she was like, oh, I already met with them a week ago. Nothing's happening until like a month or two. And I think that's where it's at. And I'm like, oh, no, we're going to hop on that. So this is a realtor with multiple properties coming online. They're like multifamily properties, new builds, where there's a sales center. And this discussion that they had a few weeks before casually was mentioned, hey, I need you to get you in touch with someone else. And she went, great. That's great. That's awesome. Okay, but now you're hoping that person is going to pick up the ball, right? And we can't assume that, because everyone is more concerned with what's going on in their own lives. So I wanted her to circle back with that realtor and say, listen, you mentioned you wanted me to meet so-and-so. I would love to do that. I know you have this sales center coming online in just the next few weeks. I would love to be the designer that you refer people to when they come in to select these finishes. I can help you with that. I can help you set up this center. Like, offering to help and how you can help someone is the easiest way to open that door. And it also really cements that relationship. Then we talked about another builder that she had met and had great meeting with several months ago. Again, never went anywhere. And this is the thing, you guys, you have to take it upon yourself to follow up with these people because they're generally not going to follow up with you. And when you make it a point to be in front of them, if they have an opportunity, they're going to mention it to the person that's in front of them. And if you're not in front of them, you're not going to be the person they mention. So she had met with a builder who actually has multiple locations. I think it's 5 within 40 miles of her office. They're doing similar work, similar sized work. The quality is amazing. I mean, what a great collaboration this would be. So I suggest she got with them and said, we're both doing great work. We should be doing great work together, right? So here's another incredible opportunity with not just one builder, but basically 5 who also have all their networks. And they are a great alignment, could be a great collaboration. She also had a couple other realtors that she's been talking to. And she basically, when you're talking to a realtor, you have to remember that what they want is not to refer you business necessarily, but they want to close business faster. They want clients to come to them because they can offer something that no one else can offer. And when you work with a designer, you can help them with that. And so she was going to be reaching out to this realtor and specifically talking about the realtor's sweet spot, which was new construction, and was going to be tailoring her conversation with, let me show you what I can do for you in your sweet spot to help you with this. And then subsequently, let me present to your office of multiple realtors. So we got to be making that connection. We got to be thinking what's in it for them. How can I make their lives so much easier? How do they already know me? So I was having her customize a lot of these reach outs by providing even a photograph or a link to some work that was relevant to what that referral partner was actually doing to demonstrate that she could really handle their sweet spot jobs. So again, how can you help them? How can you help them close more deals? How can you help them look good? How can you help them make their life easier? And then in every communication, we did the presumptive close. This would be great. Let's meet. Here's the date. Here's the time. This makes them have to respond because if they can't make the date and the time, they will respond and say, oh, I can't make that. And then you can pick another date and time. Or they're going to say, yeah, that's great because nobody, there's a million decisions that happen on every day. And sometimes you just get decision fatigue. And if somebody says, can you make this and it works for you, you're just going to say, yes, they made it easy. So how are we going to make it easy for them to say yes to a meeting? So if you need to drum up business fast, think about who is the most likely to take your call, have multiple opportunities available, and has worked with you and knows the quality of your work. Now, reality check, it usually takes several months to get opportunities to come to fruition. So this is another, hard lesson that should be learned here. Why do we spend so much time doing admin tasks or giving priority to these type of tasks just to check the box off our to-do list? I know it's exciting when you hit the little button and it goes green, right? But what we're doing is we're saving for last or when we have time or at the end of the day, which we all know ends up being tomorrow, which becomes tomorrow, which is our money-making tasks. So let this story be a reminder to you that we should all be prioritizing laying the groundwork for future business all the time. Because these things are vital to sustaining our business over the long term. And these seeds need to be planted, and then they need to be watered, and then they need to be allowed to grow. It takes time. It takes time to create relationships with trust. And you have to expect that. And honestly, this should be the first thing that we do every day. And I say we because, I'm a victim of this as well. That this should be the first thing we do every day, the number one priority that we do in our business, not the when I get to it, but it's the lifeblood of our business. If you're continuing to plant seeds, they will continue to come to fruition. And you know that if you plant 50 seeds, you're probably only going to get 10 or 20 to bloom. So you have to think about that as well. So if we're wondering, why it's a feast or famine business, it's because we have our priorities backwards. We do the admin, we do the easy things, we do the check the box stuff first. We open the emails first thing, we start answering those client questions. And you know what happens before you do anything, you've spent 2 hours down the rabbit hole for various reasons. But before you read an email or get on social or answer your texts, why not prioritize reaching out to past clients, vendors, other referral sources a little bit every day and make your life so much easier? This should be the most important item that you do every day. And let me repeat this for those in the back of the room. It brings money and projects to your business. It is the most important item you do every day. It should be non-negotiable. Because if the last few years have taught us anything, and along with the story of my client that I mentioned at the beginning, things can change in an instant. And some of this might be completely out of our control. So how can we shore up our own businesses for the unexpected? That's what I want to leave you with today. So if you're looking to identify those key referral partners, reach out to them in a way that where they want to meet with you, and understanding how to make this a priority and a regular part of your everyday business so that you can triple your profits, then I invite you to apply to the Luxury Client Academy. I would love to hear more about you and your business. The link to the application is in the show notes. It only takes a few minutes. And I want to see if I can help you triple your profits in the next 9 months, shore up your business for the unexpected. If you want to know more about the Luxury Client Academy, of course, you can ask me any question you want, but I do have several episodes about it. Episode 67, which is the overall about the Academy. And then I have details on what happens month by month at episodes 70 to 72. And then we celebrate with the Naples Experience, which is an incredible in-person event where you get that free ticket. That is episode 66, so be sure to check all that out. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me. My email is in the show notes, or you can DM me on Instagram at Pamela Durkin. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you guys for listening. I'll see you next time.